The West and its broken promises is what we were discussing earlier. They also promised to save Afghanistan, but look at what's happening there now. Almost every day, the country witnesses a terrorist attack. Today, a suicide bomber targeted a military hospital in Kabul. At least 19 people died, more than 50 were wounded. This seems like a well-coordinated operation. The suicide bomber first detonated explosives near the entrance of the hospital. 2 explosions were heard. Then there were sounds of gunfire. Reports say a group of terrorists broke into the hospital grounds and opened fire. Our correspondent in Kabul, Anas Malik, arrived at the scene moments after the bombs went off. He sent us this dispatch earlier in the day.
There's been an explosion. Behind me, you can see those fumes that are getting out, that are coming out from that's the Sardar Dawood Khan Hospital. The road's been entirely cordoned off. It's been cleared. What we've heard are 2 explosions, sounds of intermittent gunfire. The Taliban are trying to prevent anybody coming near to this very road. There are unconfirmed reports that there can possibly be an attack. But what we've heard from the local media is that there was a suicide explosion or an apparent suicide explosion. And now when we got here, we heard 2 explosions, one of them being very loud. You can see those fumes of smoke, that thick clouds, smoke clouds coming out from the Sardar Dawood Khan Hospital here in Kabul. Anas Malik in Kabul, Afghanistan, for WION World is One.
No terrorist group has taken responsibility for this attack so far, but the Taliban are blaming the Islamic State Khorasan. Yesterday we told you how this terrorist group, the ISIS-K, is ramping up its recruitments. Former members of the Afghan forces are joining the ISIS-K. Since late August, this group has killed almost 350 civilians in Afghanistan. 350. Today's attack proves how dangerous Afghanistan has become. We received some pictures of the aftermath of this attack. These could be disturbing visuals for some of our viewers. We advise viewer discretion as you look at this story. This is a photo from inside the hospital. These images are from inside the hospital. This is a children's ward. There is blood on the floor and bodies on stretchers. Apparently, the terrorists went from one room to another. They clashed with members of the Taliban inside the hospital. Outside, our team captured the Taliban in action. They were securing the streets, but they looked clueless. They were struggling to contain the violence. In fact, since they've taken power, there have been 52 incidents or 52 attacks in Afghanistan. More than 500 Afghans have lost their lives. The dead bodies are piling up. What I'm about to tell you is even more shocking. A container was found at a government hospital recently. It was filled with bodies, human bodies. The Taliban say that these are remains of Afghan soldiers. But who could have killed these soldiers? When did they die? The Afghan security forces had only one enemy until recently, and that was the Taliban. But the new rulers of Afghanistan are blaming the previous government for this. Here's how they're passing the buck. Listen to this.
At a 400-bed military hospital in Kabul, there's a big container which is full of bodies of soldiers. The past government didn't even have the courtesy to look after the relatives and hand over the bodies to them. Now, Islamic Emirate is trying its best to locate the families to whom these bodies belong and then hand over these bodies to them. Unfortunately, we have not as yet been able to find them.
That was Qari Fasiuddin, the army chief of the Taliban. He is one of the many commanders who launched an offensive to take power. Now the same men have been tasked with securing Afghanistan. The result is there for the world to see: more terrorist attacks, more violence, and innocent Afghans who continue to pay the price for the mistakes of the West. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.